Welcome back. Watch the first episode of it to enjoy it more. My name is Lauren. And here comes the continuation of my true life story. The divorce papers sat on my dining table for days, then weeks, like a silent accusation. No demands. No bitterness. No list of wrongs. Just a simple request to end our 5-year marriage as efficiently and quietly as possible. His signature was already there. No address, only a P.O. box. Nothing that could lead me to him. I refused to sign it first. It felt like the last thread connecting us, and if I cut it, Jason would be gone forever. Truly gone, not just missing, but unreachable in every sense. If he wants a divorce, I told myself, he'll have to face me. He'll have to talk to me. But my lawyer shook her head, her voice gentle but firm. That's not how it works, Lauren. He can finalize this without you if he chooses. Refusing to sign doesn't protect your marriage. It just prolongs the process, and unfortunately, it reflects poorly on you. Let him go. I wanted to scream that I wasn't ready to let go. That I couldn't accept that 5 years of love, arguments, holidays, inside jokes, whispered promises, everything could end with a courier envelope. I wasn't asking for forgiveness. I wasn't asking for reconciliation. I just wanted one conversation. One moment to look him in the eyes and say, I'm sorry, without a digital barrier between us. But Jason had made it clear, there would be no conversation. So I tried to find him on my own. I went to the coffee shop in Columbus where we had our first date, the one where he spilled iced coffee on his shirt and laughed it off like the world was a forgiving place. He wasn't there. I went to the little bookstore where he spent Saturday afternoons, tucked between the philosophy section and the fantasy series he loved. The owner recognized me and offered a sad smile, but no information. I walked the hiking trails he adored, the ones he dragged me to every fall because he wanted me to see the leaves change with him. I walked for hours, breathing air that felt too thin, searching for someone who no longer existed in my world. Nothing. His shadow had vanished right along with him. By month 3, I cracked. I posted vague messages on social media, nothing incriminating, nothing with details. Just reflections about forgiveness, about regret, about losing someone and trying to make it right. I thought if enough people felt sympathy, maybe anyone, would reach out with information. Instead, it triggered the opposite. Someone, I still don't know who, shared everything in my comment section. The betrayal. The family connection. The timing. The messages. Every ugly truth I'd tried to hide behind vague wording. Within hours, I was trending on Reddit. Woman cheats with groom at wedding, shocked when husband vanishes. A title that spread like wildfire. The comments were merciless. Plays stupid games, wins stupid prizes. King behavior. He didn't argue, he evaporated. She really thought he'd stick around after that? Delusional. I'd disappear too. People tore into me. My character, my morals, my choices, my appearance. Strangers from across the world made judgments with the confidence of people who had never made a mistake in their lives. They dug up my old posts, my photos, my LinkedIn. They screen recorded everything before I could make it private. People messaged me with cruel words, some telling me exactly what they thought should happen to me. I went private on every account. But privacy didn't matter. Screenshots don't disappear. My employer found out. HR pulled me aside for a quiet meeting about professional conduct and representing company values. They didn't fire me, but the warning was clear: one more incident, and I was gone. Alex, on the other hand, wasn't as lucky. Turns out his hotel expenses for this disaster had been put on his company card. He was terminated immediately. And the isolation. That was the part that hollowed me out. Friends who had forgiven me for foolish choices before now quietly stepped back. They answered texts with short responses or didn't respond at all. My sister, my closest confidant, listened when I tried to explain, but shook her head, disappointment overtaking her features. You didn't just betray Jason, she said. You humiliated him. In front of family. At a wedding. While he was speaking about love and commitment. And then he saw messages that confirmed everything he feared in the worst possible moment. I made a mistake, I whispered. No, she said softly. You made a choice. A cruel, selfish choice. And now you're living through the consequences. Jason doesn't owe you closure. He doesn't owe you anything. Her words broke something inside me. Because they were true. Painfully true. By month 4, I was falling apart. Not sleeping. Barely eating. Obsessing over Jason's disappearance with a desperation that scared even me. The world around me became foggy, muted, like I was living underwater. I kept replaying every moment of our marriage in my head, searching for signs, clues, anything that could explain how things had spiraled so completely out of control. I began therapy, not because I wanted to, but because my body and mind were shutting down. I needed help. Dr. Martinez was the first person who didn't look at me with disgust or pity. "Tell me about what happened," she said gently. "Tell me about the betrayal, the choices, the guilt. Not to judge you, but so we can understand why you're here." And for the first time in months, I let myself speak without fear of being torn apart. Dr. Martinez didn't ask for the scandalous details. She didn't want the who or the where. She wanted the why. "What were you looking for, Lauren?" she asked gently. "Not what you did, but the need underneath it." I stared at my hands. I had never asked myself that question. Not honestly. "I guess, excitement," I said quietly. Jason was safe. Predictable. I always knew exactly what to expect with him. "And Alex," she pressed. "Danger," I admitted. Not physical danger. Just unpredictability. He was unavailable. Off limits. It made everything feel intense. Out of control. And the fact that he was connected to Jason's family, my voice trailed off. I didn't plan that part. It just happened. "The wedding was not the beginning," she said. "You said you were flirting for months." I nodded. It was a build-up. And the wedding was the opportunity. Dr. Martinez made a few notes, then looked up again. "How do you think Jason felt when he found out?" "Betrayed. Hurt. Angry." "Those are obvious," she said. "But try again. Think deeper." I closed my eyes. For the first time since all this began, I pushed past my own pain and imagined what Jason had experienced. "Humiliated," I whispered. Like our whole relationship was a lie. Like he was the only one who believed in us. Like he'd been taken advantage of. Like a fool. She nodded. "And what do you think someone feeling all those things might need?" My voice cracked. "Space," I said. "Distance. Time to heal without me making it worse." She let the answer settle before asking the question that shook me to my core. "Then why are you trying so hard to find him?" "Because I need him to know I'm sorry," I said. "That it wasn't about him. That I love him." Her eyebrows lifted slightly. "Do you? Or did you love the stability he gave you? The comfort? The version of life he provided?" That question echoed in my mind for days. Did I love Jason, or did I love the safety he represented? When I replayed memories, the things I missed weren't grand acts of love, they were routines. Sunday mornings lingering in bed. His cooking. The way he handled arguments with calm instead of escalation. The quiet steadiness he brought into my chaotic world. "I don't know," I finally whispered. "Then perhaps his disappearance is a gift," she said softly. "For both of you." Those words hurt more than any insult I'd received online. Month 5 brought news I was not prepared for. My cousin saw Jason's sister at a concert in Nashville. When she casually mentioned that Jason was doing well, I felt my breath catch. But then came the dagger. He has a new job. And he's seeing someone. That last part shattered me. Seeing someone? We weren't even officially divorced. 5 months. 5 months, and he had already started a new life while I was drowning in the ruins of our old one. I destroyed my life for him, I whispered to myself. And he just moved on? But grief twists logic. It convinces you you're the injured one, even when you caused the injury. So I doubled down. I hired another private investigator, one who didn't ask moral questions. He found Jason in Oregon. A small apartment. A tech job. No social media. No phone listed. No trace that connected him to me. He was alive. He was functioning. And he was rebuilding. I booked a flight immediately. I arrived at his workplace before closing and waited in the parking lot. My heart hammered in my chest in a rhythm I couldn't control. Then I saw him, laughing with coworkers, smiling, looking healthier than I'd ever seen him. His hair was longer. He had grown a beard. His posture looked lighter, freer. He saw me before I stepped forward. The laughter vanished from his face, replaced by that same empty, unreadable expression he wore the day he packed his suitcase. He said something to his coworkers. They glanced at me, startled, then dispersed quickly. Jason walked toward his car, a new one I didn't recognize, acknowledging me. "Jason, wait." He stopped, but he didn't turn around. "How did you find me?" he asked quietly. "Does it matter?" I asked. "We need to talk." "No," he said. "We don't." 5 years, Jason, I said, my voice breaking. "Don't I deserve?" He turned then, and the look in his eyes froze me. There was no anger, no sadness, no heartbreak, just emptiness. A cold wall where warmth once lived. "Deserve," he repeated. "You deserve what you gave me, Lauren." My breath caught. "Nothing." He continued, his voice steady and painfully calm. "No explanation. No closure. No dramatic arguments. Just absence." "That's not fair," I choked out. "Fair?" He let out a short, humorless laugh. "Was it fair when I stood in front of 300 people giving a speech about love and commitment while you—" He swallowed sharply, steadying himself. "While you were elsewhere with someone connected to my family?" I stood there, shaking. "Was it fair," he continued, "when I read messages describing how easily you dismissed what we had? How little my trust meant to you? How small I looked in comparison to whatever thrill you were chasing?" My chest tightened until I could barely breathe. "You didn't just betray me," he said. "You took my dignity, my peace, my sense of stability. You shattered them without a second thought." He stepped back from me. "So now I'm giving you the same thing you gave me, Lauren. Distance. Silence. A life without you." "Jason, please." "No." His voice didn't waver. "This isn't anger. This isn't spite. This is me choosing myself for the first time in years. You don't get to follow me into the life I'm building now." He opened his car door. "Go home," he said quietly. "Sign the papers. Move on. Because I already have." And with that, he got in the car, closed the door, and drove away without looking back even once. A unilateral decision to end things without input or consideration. Dr. Martinez closed her notebook slowly, her expression soft but unyielding. "You keep saying you want him to understand you," she said, "but have you ever tried understanding him? Not the hurt you caused or the fallout you faced, but the moment he realized his reality, his marriage, his trust, his family, had been shattered." I opened my mouth to answer, but no words came. "Lauren," she continued, her voice low and steady, "people don't disappear because they don't care. They disappear when caring has exhausted everything inside them." Her words sank into me like stones. I felt them settle in the hollow places I'd pretended weren't there. I spent the next weeks trying to build some kind of routine. Work, sleep, therapy, repeat. But every part of my life felt suspended, like I was living underwater, hearing the world only in echoes. Some mornings I woke up reaching for the other side of the bed, instinctively expecting Jason's warmth, his steady breathing, the gentle way he always tugged the blanket closer. The empty space felt colder each day, like my memory was punishing me. My therapist kept encouraging me to talk through the guilt, the grief, the confusion. But some emotions didn't have words. They were just heavy, living in my chest like a second heartbeat. One night, around month 7, I found myself standing in the hallway staring at a single photo I hadn't taken down, a picture of us at Lake Michigan. The wind had been terrible that day, whipping my hair across my face, but Jason had grinned as if the chaos made everything better. He'd pulled me into him and said, "Life is easier when we face the mess together." And I had thrown all of that away. I pressed the picture to my chest and sank to the floor. I cried until my throat was raw, until my stomach hurt, until I could barely breathe. Not because I wanted him back, not exactly. But because I finally understood the depth of what I had broken. You don't just hurt someone you love. You reshape their entire understanding of trust. Days passed. then weeks. Slowly, painfully, something inside me began to shift. Not healing, healing felt too generous a word, but acceptance, maybe. A recognition that some consequences don't fade. They become part of the landscape of your life. I stopped searching online for Jason. Stopped refreshing old message threads. Stopped expecting miracles. Then, around month 8, I received an envelope in the mail. No return address. No handwriting I recognized. Inside was a copy of our final divorce decree, official, signed, processed. Beside it was a single note. I hope you find the peace you're looking for. J. No anger. No bitterness. No attachment. Just a sentence, gentle, quiet, devastating. I sat at the kitchen table for a long time, staring at those words. And for the first time in months, I didn't feel anger or desperation or panic. I felt loss. Simple, unadorned, honest loss. Because Jason wasn't punishing me. He wasn't hiding from me. He wasn't trying to teach me a lesson. He was letting himself heal. And healing meant letting go of me. I realized then that closure wasn't something another person could hand you. It wasn't a conversation or an apology or a dramatic reunion. It was the slow, painful excavation of your own truth. That actions have consequences, that love sometimes ends quietly, and that you can lose someone long before you lose the relationship. By month 9, I had started packing away the remnants of our life. Wedding gifts, shared books, old notes, things that once meant everything and now felt like artifacts from a world that no longer existed. I didn't throw them away. I wasn't ready for that. But I put them in boxes. Labeled them. Placed them in the attic. It felt like placing a part of myself into storage. A part 1 wasn't ready to revisit, but finally understood I shouldn't hold on to every day. The silence in the house felt different. After that, not oppressive, not mocking, just quiet. A space I could grow into if I chose to. Dr. Martinez asked during our next session, "Do you think you'll ever love again?" I thought about it carefully. "I don't know," I said. "But I think someday I'll be able to try." She smiled gently. "That's enough for now." And maybe it was. Because healing isn't a straight line. Forgiveness isn't immediate. And closure isn't a door someone else closes. It's when you learn to lock yourself. But I'm learning. Slowly. Painfully. Honestly. And for the first time in a long time, I'm beginning to believe that surviving the consequences of my worst decisions might someday lead me to become a better version of the person Jason once believed I could be. Not for him, but for me. I'm just catching up. But catching up doesn't mean it hurts any less. In fact, the clearer things become, the heavier they feel. The truth isn't a relief, it's an anchor. And every day it pulls me a little deeper into the reality I spent months trying to outrun. I used to think silence was mercy. Now I know silence can be the sharpest kind of punishment, not because it's cruel, but because it's final. Words invite possibility, arguments, apologies, explanations, maybe even reconciliation. But silence? Silence is a closed door, a locked window, a house with no lights on. Silence is the answer that leaves no room for hope. And that's what Jason gave me. Not cruelty. Not revenge. Not bitterness. Just the unmistakable message that life would be easier without me in it. I replay everything now with disturbing clarity. The late nights I lied about. The stories I fabricated. The promises I broke without even realizing I was breaking them. Every secret moment where I chose my own thrill over the quiet, steady love waiting for me at home. Each decision was a tiny departure. A step out the door of our marriage long before Jason ever decided to walk out of mine. Therapy has become the only place I'm forced to face all of this without excuses. Dr. Martinez never raises her voice, never shames me, never reacts the way I expect. She simply mirrors the truth back to me piece by piece until I can't avoid it anymore. "You're grieving a story," she said recently, her tone gentle but unwavering. "The story where you made a mistake and got a dramatic redemption arc. The story where love conquered your choices. The story where pain led to reconciliation. But that wasn't the story you wrote." I wanted to argue. I wanted to insist that people fight harder, forgive deeper, hold on longer. But even as the words formed in my mind, I knew they weren't fair. Jason did fight for us. For years. In the quiet ways that count: patience, loyalty, consistency. He fought by trusting me, by believing in me, by building a life with me brick by brick. I was the one who tore the foundation apart. He didn't vanish because he stopped caring. He vanished because caring had become unbearable. Sometimes I wonder what it was like for him in those final days before he left. Did he sit alone in our kitchen staring at his hands, trying to make sense of how the person he trusted most became the one who compromised everything? Did he cry? Did he rage? Did he want to scream at me, throw something, demand answers? Or was he just tired? Tired in the way only heartbreak can exhaust a person. Tired in the bones, in the soul, in the places no amount of sleep can reach. Maybe disappearing wasn't a dramatic exit. Maybe it was the only way he could breathe again. Month 10 feels different than the months before it. Not easier, but clearer. The fog is lifting, replaced by a sharp-edged understanding that doesn't care about my comfort. I'm beginning to see myself the way others did. The woman who lost everything because she played with the wrong fire. The woman who broke her own life and then tried to fix it with desperation instead of accountability. The woman who mistook consequences for cruelty. People whispered about me. My friends distanced themselves. Strangers online dissected my decisions like some kind of cautionary exhibit. And even though the world has moved on, the imprint of it all still lives in me. Sometimes at night I scroll back through the posts, the comments, the screenshots I should have deleted months ago. It's self-inflicted pain, I know that. But there's a strange comfort in reading them now, not because I agree with the cruelty, but because I finally recognize the truth tucked beneath the mockery. Actions don't exist in a vacuum. They ripple. They tear. They stain. Jason isn't coming back. Not because he wants to hurt me, but because he wants to live. Really live. And he couldn't do that with me anymore. Accepting that is like swallowing glass, but I swallow it anyway. Every day. Every morning. Every night. This is my consequence, and unlike the attention online or the judgment from friends, this one isn't temporary. This one lives inside me. Dr. Martinez told me last week, healing isn't about earning forgiveness from the person you hurt. It's about learning to carry what you did without letting it destroy who you become next. I'm trying. Clumsily. Slowly. Some days better than others. Some days I imagine what Jason's life must look like now: quiet, steady, safe, shaped by someone who never made him doubt his worth. And on those days, the ache in my chest is sharp with regret, but softer with understanding. He didn't erase me out of hatred. He erased me to survive. And maybe, someday, I'll learn to forgive myself enough to survive too. If you really enjoyed this story, drop a comment and subscribe for more of its kind. I love you.